Hello, my name is Alex Does F1 Stuff and welcome to this collaborative effort from myself and also Formula UR, comparing Lewis Hamilton's teammates Valtteri Bottas, Nico Rosberg, Jenson Button and Fernando Alonso. Now this video is going to be split in half and run very similar to how I've done my Max Verstappen teammate comparison video with Perez, Albon and also Gasly. We're going to take a look at some easy categories first. Examples like that are the average finishing position and also your points scored throughout the season. And then we'll take a look at a couple of the more complex categories, things like where the car should be performing and how well they have done in qualifying. Now I'm going to start us off with the points scored throughout the season, as that is a nice and easy comparison to make. We start, of course, in 2007, Lewis Hamilton's first Formula 1 season, partnered with Fernando Alonso. Both drivers scored 109 points throughout that season. So it could be fair to say that they performed very, very evenly. But taking a look now at Jenson Button in 2010, he scored 214 points compared to Hamilton's 240. There was a 26-point difference between the two. 2011, it was actually Jenson Button's turn to beat Hamilton, 270 to 227, a significant 43-point difference. And then in 2012, there was just a 2-point difference between the two Brits, 190 to Hamilton and 188 to Button. And now moving on to his Mercedes tenure against Nico Rosberg. In 2013, Hamilton scored himself 202 points to Nico Rosberg's 158. With 2013 being Hamilton's biggest teammate difference in his favour, being 44 points. But moving to 2014, there was an even bigger points disparity, but remember we did have the double points for the finale round in Abu Dhabi. Hamilton ended on 384 to Rosberg's 317. In 2015, it was fairly similar once again, Hamilton on 381 and Rosberg on 322. However, it was 2016 where Rosberg managed to overturn this by just 5 points, 385 for the German, 380 for Hamilton. Then taking a look at Bottas' tenure overall, in 2017 Hamilton scored 363 points and Bottas 305. Then in 2018, in what has been regarded as Bottas' worst ever season in Formula 1, Hamilton ran away with the title, scoring 408 points to Bottas' 247. A similar hefty points gap emerged in 2019, with 417 for Hamilton versus 314 for Bottas. And then in 2020, with a shortened season and even missing a race due to COVID, Hamilton still ended up over 100 points clear of Valtteri Bottas, 341 to 221. Now it is clear that looking at the overall points scored that it is Jenson Button who comes out on top, having outscored Hamilton the most, then followed by Fernando Alonso, who is joint on 109 points with Hamilton, then by Nico Rosberg, having only outperformed him just the once by only 5 points, and then finally Valtteri Bottas, who in 3 seasons was over 100 points behind Lewis Hamilton. And now what we'll do is take a quick look at the median finishing positions of each of the drivers. In 2007, Hamilton had a median finishing position of P2 compared to P3 for Fernando Alonso. In 2010, Hamilton also had a median finishing position of P2 compared to P4 for Jenson Button. It was P4 for Lewis Hamilton in 2011 compared to P3 for Jenson Button. Then in 2012, it was P4 for Hamilton versus P5 for Jenson. Then moving to Mercedes, it was P5 in 2013 versus P5 for Nico Rosberg once again. Then when we get to Mercedes' dominant periods from 2014 onwards, in the 3 seasons of 2014, 15 and 16, Hamilton had a median finishing position of P1 compared to Nico Rosberg's P2. Come 2017, however, Lewis Hamilton's median finishing position dropped to P2 with Valtteri Bottas in P3. However, in 2018, 19 and 20, his median finishing position rose again to P1, with Valtteri Bottas having a median finishing position in 2018 of P4, 2019 of P2, and 2020 of P3. And once again, taking a look at who performed best, it is Jenson Button who comes out on top, having been the only person to have a lower median finishing position across an entire season. Then comes Nico Rosberg and Fernando Alonso, who were both just 1 position behind Hamilton in all seasons bar 1 for Nico Rosberg. And then finally Valtteri Bottas rounds us off. With some seasons he was on average 2 positions behind, and in some he was 3 positions behind. So with the easy categories all done and dusted, with Jenson Button taking a nice clear lead, Alonso and Rosberg sort of battling each other in the middle, and then Bottas languishing at the back. And there we go, there is my half of this video all concluded. I'll now hand over to both Formula UR to continue with the video.
Thank you to Alex, who provided the stats for the first half of this video. In the second half of the video, we're going to be looking more at the qualifying pace and the race pace of Hamilton's teammates over his F1 career. In qualifying, we'll be assessing two different categories: the head-to-head results and the median time gap. For the median time gap, we'll solely be looking at the final session in which both drivers set a representative lap time, as well as excluding sessions when external factors played its part, like mechanical issues, red flags, yellow flags, etc. Also, it's dry sessions only. Starting with Hamilton and Alonso, 2007 Hamilton outqualified Alonso 10-7, with Alonso outqualifying Hamilton 41% of the time. Their median time gap was 0.188%, which is just a 100-second lap, equivalent to a lap in Spa, for example. In 2010, when Lewis faced Jenson Button, he outqualified his fellow Brit 14-5, with Button taking 24% of qualifying victories over Lewis, but Jenson lagged Lewis by 0.324% in 2010. In 2011 it was 13-6, with Button being 0.238% behind Lewis, and in 2012 Button was 0.424% slower and was 17-3 down in the head-to-head. Overall, across their 3 years, Hamilton outqualified Button 44-14, so 24% in Button's favour, and their median time gap was 0.353% in Hamilton's favour. On to his time with Nico Rosberg. In 2013 it was 11-8, with Hamilton being 0.176% quicker. 2014, Rosberg became the only driver to ever outqualify Hamilton over a season, beating Hamilton 10-7, and was 0.092% faster in the process. 2015, Hamilton got him back 12-7 and was 0.122% faster, and it was also 12-7 in 2016, with Lewis this time being 0.227% ahead. Overall, it was 42-32 in Hamilton's favour and was 0.122% ahead overall. Finally, with Valtteri Bottas, 2017 Lewis won 13-7 but was 0.320% ahead. 2018 it was 15-6 with Lewis being 0.238% ahead. 2019 14-7 with Lewis being 0.123% ahead. 2020 it was 11-5 with Hamilton being 0.083% ahead. And 2021 it was 17-5 in the timed Q1, Q2, Q3 format, with Hamilton being 0.199% quicker. So overall, Lewis beat Valtteri 70-30 in qualifying over their time together, with Bottas winning only 30% of their qualifying duels, and was also 0.164% slower than Hamilton over 5 years. So when you look at both categories, the head-to-head and the median time gap, Nico Rosberg emerges as Hamilton's quickest ever teammate, outqualifying Hamilton 43% of the time, being only 0.122% slower in terms of lap time. Very impressive indeed, and I feel like Rosberg's ability over one lap gets slept on by many people. The final two categories we'll be looking at is to do with clean air race pace. With the help of Alex's clean air lap time algorithm, I've managed to gather all of Hamilton's clean air laps with Alonso, Button, Rosberg and Bottas. How this works is I've gathered all the lap times outside 2 seconds of the car in front from every single race in the past 15 years with Hamilton. I've counted the laps where Hamilton was quicker and his teammate was quicker, compared the two and taken the median time gap of all the laps in each pairing. Let's start with Fernando Alonso in 07. Lewis Hamilton did 314 laps quicker than Fernando Alonso, and Fernando Alonso did 311 laps quicker than Hamilton, and ended up being a median gap of 0.011% slower than Lewis. However, he was faster on 49.8% of the laps. With Jenson Button, it was a slightly bigger gap, 620 to 342 in Lewis's favour, with Lewis being 0.182% quicker than Jenson. Jenson was faster on 35.5% of the lap times. With Nico Rosberg, it was 1,008 laps in favour of Lewis to 768 for Rosberg, with Rosberg being 0.116% slower than Hamilton. Finally, with Valtteri Bottas, the score was 1,860 to 1,094 over 5 years together, with Bottas being 0.241% off Lewis. But Valtteri was only faster on 37% of the laps. So weighing up both these correct categories, it's quite evident that Alonso was the closest driver to Hamilton over a race distance or in race pace. However, the large caveat with that, of course, is Hamilton was a rookie in 2007. But for the sake of this video, Alonso tops this category in both the race pace head-to-head and the race pace time gap. Again, shout out to Nico Rosberg, who was second behind Fernando Alonso, once again showing he was very, very fast and underrated amongst many F1 fans. So, looking at all these categories, we can see there's some variation in all of it. Jenson Button was the most formidable point scorer against Lewis. Nico Rosberg was the fastest qualifier, but Fernando Alonso was the best racer, with Valtteri Bottas somewhere in the middle of every category. Massive shout out to Alex, who helped me throughout this entire video, collecting all the data. Make sure to follow his channel, link to it is in the description below. Let us know in the comments, who do you think was Hamilton's strongest teammate? We'd love to know your opinion, and where do you think George Russell will fit into all of this next year? I hope you enjoyed the video, thanks for tuning in until the very end, and until next time, goodbye.